My recent camping adventure, lessons in courage, nature, and loyalty. I made a short video on this story and some of you subscribed for this longer version I said I would be making, and here it is. It's about my recent camping adventure to Colorado, my loyal Pitbull who loves to go camping, a hungry bear, and hard lessons I learned. Camping in the Colorado wilderness has always been my go-to escape. It's where the air is fresher, the stars brighter, and life feels a little simpler. But on this particular trip, simplicity took a back seat to survival. This is the story of how a peaceful night with my loyal Pitbull Max turned into a heart-pounding encounter with a black bear, and the hard lesson I'll never forget. The day started like any other camping trip. I packed all the essentials: a sturdy tent, sleeping bag, ice chest filled with food, and a barbecue grill. Max, my tan and white Pitbull, watched with anticipation, his tail wagging furiously as I tossed his gear into the Jeep. A collapsible water bowl, his leash, food, and his favorite chewed-up tennis ball. Before heading out, I grabbed my gun, something I always brought on trips like this for safety. I slid it into the glove compartment of the Jeep, thinking it was better secured there for the drive. In hindsight, it wasn't the smartest decision. The drive to the campsite was breathtaking. Pine trees towered over the winding roads, and the Rockies stretched endlessly into the horizon. Max stuck his head out the window, ears flapping in the cool breeze, occasionally glancing at me with his big brown eyes as if to say, "This is going to be the best trip yet." We arrived at a picturesque spot tucked between towering evergreens with a clear view of the mountains. After parking the Jeep, I unloaded the gear while Max sniffed every corner of the campsite, his nose working overtime. The first task was pitching the tent, which went up without a hitch. Inside, I laid out my sleeping bag and Max's blanket, which he immediately claimed. Outside, I set up the barbecue grill and hung a trash bag from a high branch, far enough away to avoid attracting unwanted visitors. Everything was perfect, the epitome of peace and wilderness. A few other campers were nearby, including a family with 2 golden retrievers who barked excitedly at Max. They waved and we exchanged friendly greetings about the clear skies and cool weather. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, the temperature dropped, and I lit a fire. Dinner was simple: burgers sizzling on the grill, the scent wafting through the crisp evening air. Max sat patiently by my side, his eyes fixed on the meat. I tossed him a small piece and he gobbled it up, his tail wagging in appreciation. The family with the retrievers passed by, laughing and chatting about their plans to hike in the morning. Everything felt serene, the kind of evening that makes you forget the chaos of everyday life. After dinner, I packed up the food and ensured the trash was secure, double-checking that everything was far from the tent. Except I did leave out my breakfast in the morning just outside the tent, so Max and I could be ready to go for our hike up to the top of the mountain. Then Max and I settled in for the night, the campfire casting a warm glow as the stars blanketed the sky. I woke to a low, guttural growl. It was Max, his body rigid, ears perked, and eyes locked on the tent flap. I knew that growl from him. It was serious. My pulse quickened as I strained to hear what had set him off. Then I heard it, a heavy rustling outside, followed by the crunch of large paws on dry leaves. I unzipped the tent just enough to peek out. My breath caught in my throat. A massive black bear was sniffing around, its dark shape illuminated by the moonlight. It was headed straight for the trash bag I'd hung earlier. Instinctively, I reached for the gun, only to realize it was still in the Jeep's glove compartment, parked about 50 feet away. My stomach sank. The bear was between us and the vehicle, and retrieving the gun was impossible without risking a direct encounter. I sternly whispered to Max, "Stay quiet, boy," though his low growl persisted. Slowly, I unzipped the tent further and called out to the other campers. "Hey everyone, grab your flashlights and shine them on the bear." One by one, beams of light flickered on, cutting through the darkness. The bear hesitated, its head turning toward the lights. It stood still for a moment, its eyes glowing eerily in the beams. Just as I thought the bear might retreat, it started moving toward my tent, its massive frame looming larger with each step. It began going through our breakfast food. Max, unable to contain himself any longer, lunged out of the tent, barking ferociously. "Max, no!" I hissed, my heart pounding as I watched him confront the bear. Max stood his ground, barking and growling with every ounce of his being. The bear froze, huffed loudly, and then took a few steps back. Max advanced, his body tense, his bark unwavering. Finally, the bear turned and lumbered back into the woods, disappearing into the shadows. When dawn broke, the campsite was eerily quiet. Max was lying beside me, his head resting on his paws as if nothing had happened. I stepped outside to survey the aftermath. The trash bag was shredded, its contents scattered across the clearing. Claw marks were etched into a nearby tree, and the ice chest had been tipped over, but thankfully remained sealed. Other campers came by to check in, recounting their own perspectives of the night. Jim, the father of the family with the retrievers, gave Max a hearty pat on the head. "Your dog's got guts," he said with a grin. "Ours hid in the tent the whole time." That trip taught me more than just how to secure a campsite. It taught me the importance of preparation and how quickly things can go wrong in the wilderness. But most importantly, it reinforced just how incredible Max was. His loyalty and courage turned what could have been a disaster into a story I'll tell for the rest of my life. Max reminded me of the unique bond between humans and dogs, a bond built on trust and instinct. That night, he wasn't just my pet, he was my protector, my hero, and my best friend. Camping in the Rockies is a magical experience, but it's also a stark reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature. I learned that night that preparation and respect for the wild are just as important as the gear you bring. And sometimes, your best protection comes from a loyal companion with a brave heart. The trip home was calming. Max lied in the back seat sleeping most of the time. I mostly just rethought out the entire trip and how to make sure to better prepare next time. I couldn't wait to get home and get some rest too, as Max is right now. If you would like to watch some more incredible domestic and Arctic animal videos, consider subscribing to Critter Safari. And feel free to watch one of these videos on the screen. Subscribing is free and helps us continue to make these videos. Thanks for watching.